Okay, so I'm joined this afternoon by Darren Peacock, the Director of Westwood Capital Finance, and previously to that, Managing Director and Founder of Peacock Finance. So if it's okay, Darren, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your relationship with the White Rose Finance Group. We're here at the offices today. The history and where you are now and where you're going, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay, so first of all, look, going back in time, when did you actually join the Brokerplan network?
So I joined the Brokerplan network back in March of 2014. So 10 years ago, just over now.
10 years ago, about a month before I joined the business, funnily enough,
Yes.
Darren. So over that time, how have you found your experience working with the White Rose Finance Group?
Yeah, I've seen massive changes actually. The evolution of the support that comes with White Rose, because prior when I first started, as you say, it was before your time. It was almost a case of contacting the team, trying to absorb the knowledge, then work that knowledge out and try and work your way through the cases and try and find a way of allocating a home for a potential funding project. Whereas now, especially with the portal and the LenderHub system, I found it was almost hard to acquire the knowledge, where it seems to me now, looking back, if I had joined today, that knowledge that it took me a fair amount of time to acquire is actually there, and you just need to type the information in to get it, as opposed to try and learn it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, and certainly we've tried over the years to invest in not just the systems, but also the team here. And I think that's something that's reflected across the entire network. The changing in support over the years has certainly developed for the better, and will continue to do that. I mean, in terms of the support that you would receive if you came to the network now, what sort of thing could a new broker expect in terms of support from the team, in your experience?
Again, I think it's the way the team internally at White Rose has developed. And of course, if somebody joins, where I've seen lots of team members join since I joined, you included, it's the knowledge that they acquire and then the collective knowledge that's retained within that. Because every month that goes by, everybody gets a little bit more knowledgeable within the team, gets more comfortable. So somebody joining now is seeing the benefit of all of those months/years of the team gelling together and learning. Because of course, if somebody joins the team new, it's not until they've seen lots of cases go through and interact with lots of different brokers joining the network that they become more comfortable and confident. So with a much more established team, it's natural you're going to get a much more established and experienced service. So looking from the outside in, you know, if I was excited when I joined 10 years ago, but if I was joining today with the knowledge I've got over that 10 years, then I'd like to think I was fairly successful as a broker. I would be even more excited and more successful joining now than then.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think one of the things we probably just touched on it slightly is the LenderHub sourcing system. Again, for someone that's never seen it, how do you think that helps brokers in their ability to get the right outcome for clients?
Yeah, I think probably the best way to describe it, but unless you've met the people, it won't make great sense. What I used to do is ring David in the office, who I called Yoda because he knew everything. So I'd ask him, and he'd take a lot of time to tell me where that case would go. So it'd be, well, it's a development case, so you don't go with it, and it's almost like a flow chart. Is it a development deal or is it a business loan? If so, and then you go here, and then you end up with a range of funders that are able to take an application for that type of proposal. That was all manual. I'd have to work that out with David, lots of telephone conversations, all the rest of it. So it's almost that knowledge and experience put into the LenderHub system, where you go, what are you looking for? A business loan. How much is it for? What's it? And then all of a sudden it gives you the answers pretty much instantaneously. So what it would take me a while to acquire myself, or several conversations, waiting for emails backwards and forwards, you get that answer almost instantly without even talking to anybody. So it's always there. So all of the knowledge built up is in that system. That's the way I kind of see it. It's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I mean that's perfect. And actually, internally, we use a system as well. It's you can get these answers within seconds, which, as you say, could have taken certainly a series of emails and maybe a couple of days just to get to the same information. So it speeds up the process. It means actually you can give clients an accurate answer, very, very quickly. Brilliant. Okay. Your business model has changed significantly over the years since joining. So I mentioned Westwood Capital at the outset, which is now the focus of your energy. So what's your current business model, Darren?
We have evolved. So obviously starting as a broker within the network, that exposed me to quite a lot, well, the whole of the commercial finance world, really. And then out of those, the areas that excited me the most were development funding and bridge funding. One, property, I found exciting working with property developers. I mean, from a practical point of view, you won't want me putting a shelf up because it'd fall down. So from that side, but actually the process and supporting property developers was not so much a niche, it was something I've found really enjoyable. So that side of it. And then that opened up a world of bridge funding where it's done by lots of family offices and high net worth individuals that find a way to make a return on their cash secured against property with development funding. So then probably 6-7 years ago I started to do a small amount of small bridge funding, and then that's morphed now into Westwood Capital Finance, which is a full-on bridge lender. So we offer short-term bridge loans to property developers and businesses secured against property, along with my business partner. So we're actually a lender now. So we're more from a broker working with lenders to a lender. And of course, we're proud to be sat on the LenderHub and a portal and supporting your brokers and your network and their clients as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And from our perspective, it's great to have a lender as flexible and as quick to respond as Westwood Capital. So it's the relationship continues to develop between the two businesses, which is great. If someone was looking at coming into the sector, the commercial finance sector, I suppose a couple of things. How would you assess the appetite within the market for commercial, and in particular from a broker's perspective? What's the future looking like for the commercial finance sector and brokers working in that sector, Darren?
For me, I think it's probably as buoyant and exciting as it's ever been, to be fair. Going back the 10 years when I first started, there was still a hell of a lot of banks that were very active and operating, lots of BDMs, business development managers in the banks out in the local areas. You'd see lots of businesses and property developers to a certain extent getting access to real people in the bank, and they were visible at networking events in and around the local area. People could go and speak to them and discuss deals. As the years have gone on, not only have you seen those people and those teams within the banks kind of reduce, in some instances disappear, you've seen that with the branches. It's hard to find even a branch open with real people in these days, but that's also mirrored in the commercial side as well. Whereas 10 years ago when I started in Hull, there was 6 people in, I won't name the bank, but one high street bank. Now there's one of them. And unless you're a business turning over £3.5 million per annum, then you can't speak to that person anyway. You have to pick up the phone and ring. So probably not intentionally from a bank's perspective, they put so many barriers in front of potential borrowers. It's really difficult, one, to know who to go to in the bank, 2, to actually find somebody to speak to or get an appointment. So in turn it becomes very frustrating and prohibitive to actually approach the bank for funding. And then in turn you've seen lots and lots of brokers to kind of fill that gap and fill that market. So I think the need for brokers to kind of interpret for a borrower what is available in the market is more needed now than ever, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah, I've seen changes in the past 10 years as well, and I think one of the things is because the value that the broker adds into the process, actually the earning potential of a broker can be significant, particularly if they're putting together sizable deals. I mean, our range of deals is anything from £5,000 asset to up to £100 million in property development. How much could a really good broker earn in the market today if they were working full time and doing a good job?
It depends, because it's very much linked into the type of deals, the amount of deals, and the amount of effort. I mean, I've seen lots of brokers come and go within the network, and if you have a broker that would sit behind a PC and a nice fancy website waiting for the phone to ring, you probably find that that's not going to be as successful as somebody who actually goes out, engages with their local market, goes to lots of networking events, make sure that people are aware of what it is they do, and then once that deal flow starts to come in, you gain a bit of traction, people get to know, like you, and trust you, then they start to deal with you. You'd be disappointed in today's market if you're not earning six figures minimum as a broker. You wouldn't be doing a lot of deals if you're earning less than £100,000 per annum, I would say.
Thank you. And we've probably partly covered this question already with I suppose the lack of supply from the banks. But why would a property developer or a landlord investor use a broker rather than just knocking on the door in the bank? What is it that a broker can add in terms of value to an investor developer?
Several things, I think. The first one is one we've touched on. You'd struggle to find a door of a bank to actually knock on to begin with, and then actually finding the right person to speak to without going through an automated telephone system to then find out that it will maybe take you 2 weeks to get an appointment in probably a city that you don't live in. They make it very easy for a broker to be able to give the benefits of using a broker over a bank. But then there's also my kind of other side of that discussion would be, yes, you could go to your bank. And when I was brokering, that was one of the first questions I would ask is, have you been to your bank? If not, why not? I suggest you do that, and then we'll look at everything else. And therein lies the key, because a broker will go to the whole of the market, all of the market that is relevant to that particular proposal. You go to one bank, it will probably take a long time, several weeks, if not months, for them to decide yes or no. In my experience, generally a no, but you've only spoke to one person. You could speak to one person, a decent broker with the correct access to the market, and be speaking to 25 potential lenders all at the same time. So with one conversation, you get access to all of the market, and in turn, if you've chosen the right broker, the best deal in the market. Whereas you go to direct to that funder, is it the best deal? Isn't it the best deal? Who knows? So my question would be, why wouldn't you use a broker?
Excellent. Yes, I totally agree. Okay, so we're in a market and a world, I suppose, that's moving very quickly with technology, and the fintech world is evolving. So a sort of double-ended question here: will brokers at some point be replaced by AI or technology? And on that basis, what does the future look like for a finance broker?
My opinion, for what it's worth, I don't think there will, but I think a lot of the processes and the analysis of the market will be taken by the technology. The face-to-face interaction, I don't see ever being replaced by that type of technology, not in the short to medium term anyway. However, the tools that somebody like White Rose and Brokerplan could develop with the benefit of that technology is where I would see a big shift in the market. So the LenderHub being linked into some form of AI that enables it to analyse the market in real time, for example, could potentially be a game changer in that realm. So the technology can't be ignored, but harnessed in the right way would just give the broker even more relevant and better tools to help.
Brilliant. So it's almost, I suppose, amalgamating the two things, the human side of this, but also using technology to assist and give better outcomes to clients. That would be the way forward.
I think if you're looking at a complex business cash flow stroke corporate finance type of deal, or even a larger scale property development funding proposal, both of those people, that business person and that property developer, are not going to want to have a conversation with a computer about that.
Totally agree with
But
that.
using computers to get the right result is probably where you'll see it going.
Yeah, and that will be the right outcome for the clients, which will mean that we'll all remain compliant and safe as well. So, Darren Peacock, Director and Founder of Westwood Capital Finance, thank you very much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.